let's talk lenses. There's a common misconception that you need a low aperture or super fast lens that has the fastest autofocus on the market and facial recognition and image stabilization and all of that fun stuff. And while all of that is partially true, you do need those options. You do need those things to make spectacular images sometimes. You can still make remarkable images on a budget. This is my Viltrox 85mm f1.8 that I have updated to make to force aperture blades open to 1.6. Now, that being said, I loved this lens and the depth of field that it gave, but it really lacked sharpness. Now, my grandfather was a bit of a collector of photographic equipment, and when he passed away, he left behind some optics. Most notably is the Super Takumar 135mm f3.5. Now, this lens has produced some of my favorite images that I have ever taken. It is incredibly sharp, but the focus fall off and depth of field are incredibly rich, and at just about any aperture, it holds up very, very well. And the second one that I want to talk about is the Nikon 50mm f2. It's a Nikkor version of this lens, and while it is not the fastest 50mm lens out there, I think having a 50mm lens in your arsenal is one of the best focal lengths that you could shoot with. Now, these optics are not expensive. I think both the 2.8 and the 3.5 variations of this lens are still very inexpensive. We're talking probably at or just under about $100 American dollars. I have not looked into how much the Nikkor 50mm f2 goes for, but I would imagine it's probably in the $60 to $100 range. I do also have a 28mm 3.5, also produced by Takumar. That is another one of my favorite fixed focal lengths to be shooting at. I think 28mm, while I do get a little bit of vignetting from the difference between the Sony sensor, produces some super crisp, very almost surreal wide images with very little chromatic aberrations. Now, I don't want you to think that all of your favorite YouTubers and photographers are lying to you. There is some merit and utility in having the newest, best, fastest lens out there. But I think the same with film photography. There is a bit of a benefit to taking things a little bit slower, more methodically. Think about things one step at a time, and these lenses really allow you or make you do that. And I think that a more methodical approach to shooting has been very beneficial to not only my style, but the images that I have produced. They have very quickly become just about the only thing that I'm shooting with. I don't find myself shooting with my 85mm all that much unless I really need autofocus, as well as the kit lens that's on my camera. I feel like that really, it produces adequate images. However, the feel and the depth of field that you get from these vintage optics, I mean, everything was more cheap to produce back then, and the quality was significantly better, and all you need is a little $8 adapter that makes this fit onto your Sony or your Canon or your Fuji or your Nikon or whatever you're shooting with. All it takes is this very small adapter. Now, these are M42 screw mount lenses, which is quite possibly one of the most popular and commonly found lens mounts out there. However, you can get them for like a L39 mount. You can get them for like a bayonet mount. You can get them, as you see, for Nikon FM mount. Pentax K mount is another very popular one, although I don't have very much Pentax glass to choose from. But having these in my camera bag has made for an exceptionally enjoyable shooting experience, and it's made for some very, very high quality images that even 40, 50 years down the line will still hold up as far as their optics go. Now, above all, it's most important that you find a lens that both works for your budget and for the style of shooting that you are doing. If you are moving around a lot, perhaps a prime is best for you. If you are standing in one spot, perhaps a variable zoom lens is best for you. But above all, these lenses will be far and wide cheaper than their autofocus and newer counterparts, even if the focal length is similar. And it's a really great way to save money and try out a new lens before you go with a real expensive one. It's more of an investment than it is just a fun item. Now, these items can make you money, so investment can be seen in many different ways, but I very much prefer to shoot with these lenses because just the images they produce. I feel like modern optics, I have a hard time competing with these old lenses. It's kind of hard to fathom. Thank you so much again for watching this video. I appreciate you guys all endlessly. Please consider liking and subscribing after you have watched this video. That would really help me out a lot, and it encourages me to make more content like this for you, and also pushes me to get out and explore the thrift markets a little bit more. Please excuse the audio as I am trying something new, and I'm trying to decide what kind of microphone to get that doesn't sound like garbage. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day.